Welcome back to the deep dive. Today we're doing something a little different, a really specific mission.
Right.
We're going to do a targeted recap of this just profound sermon from Pastor Roy at Zion CC.
The one from the Sunday right after Resurrection Sunday.
That's the one. And the goal here isn't just to summarize. We really want to pull out the core insights, the scripture, and some of the really challenging questions that came out of it.
It's such an essential deep dive because it takes, that peak moment of the Christian calendar, the resurrection,
Yeah.
and it grounds it in the mundane confusion of a Monday morning. It makes it real.
And Pastor Roy set that scene so perfectly. He reminded everyone that the celebration shouldn't be over, that we're supposed to be living in what he called the resurrection era.
Right. Letting what Jesus did just constantly shape how we see things.
That whole opening framework was it was so powerful. It set the goal immediately, referencing John 12.
When I ascend from this earth, I will draw all my people near to me.
Exactly. So if that's the promise, the next question is your heart actually prepared to be drawn near?
And what does that preparation even look like?
Yeah.
Which I think leads right into the whole foundation of belief he talked about.
You mean the worship?
Yeah, the energy of the worship he described. The whole focus was on declaring truth over your current chaotic situation.
Okay.
That's the preparation.
That idea of nothing is impossible with God.
That's it. And that imagery, the God of revival, breaking strongholds, chains hitting the ground, it sets the stage for what comes next. You have to be at that level of faith to receive the revelation.
Okay, so let's get into the story itself. The core text, the famous road to Emmaus, Luke 24, starting at verse 13.
And this is where all that emotional chaos really starts to bubble up.
So you've got two of his followers, and they're walking 7 miles away from Jerusalem.
Away from the center of everything. The prophecy, the cross, the empty tomb. They're leaving it all behind.
And they're just talking, processing, maybe even arguing about everything that had just happened.
And then, this is the part that just gets me every time.
The paradox.
The paradox. Jesus himself just appears. He starts walking right alongside them.
But, and this is the key verse, it says that God kept them from recognizing him.
Just think about that for a second. The answer to every single one of their questions, the solution to all their pain, is physically present.
And they're completely blind to it.
It just raises this huge theological question, why would God do that? Why intentionally keep them from seeing?
Well, their pain was just distorting everything, right? They were in such deep sorrow that they just stop in their tracks, faces downcast.
And Cleopas says that famous line.
You must be the only person in Jerusalem who hasn't heard about all the things that have happened.
It's almost comical. They're so wrapped up in their own bubble of grief, they just assume this stranger must be from another planet or something.
And the sermon made a really key point about the language there.
Oh, yeah.
They weren't just discussing things.
No, not a calm intellectual chat. The original Greek suggests they were arguing. They were debating things they just could not understand.
And that's so human. Confusion turns inward, and it just becomes conflict.
It's a pattern you see all the time. When we're hurting, when we're confused, we don't naturally look for clarity. We look for someone to validate our pain.
And that leads to arguing about facts we don't like.
Which connects right to the bigger picture. Their first big mistake, the one the sermon really zeroed in on, was that act of separation.
They left Jerusalem.
They left Jerusalem. They left the other disciples. They left the people who could have actually helped them.
It's that human reaction, isn't it? When pain hits, you just want to isolate. You retreat.
Oh, absolutely. We run away from the problem, or even from the people who are trying to help. It's like that funeral example in the sermon.
The emotional fog.
The emotional fog, yeah. You can be surrounded by people who love you, saying all the right things, but you're so deep in it you can't even register their comfort.
Sorrow just warps your perception of everything, even connection.
It really does. And that's where that analogy from the sermon just hits so hard.
The football game.
The football game. The cousins' trip to Dallas for the big championship game.
All that excitement, and it lasts for 2 minutes?
2 minutes. And the cousin who organized the whole trip, Hoser, he couldn't handle the heartbreak.
Yeah.
They're down by 30 points, and he just leaves. He walks out.
It's such a perfect metaphor.
It is. It's about giving up on the vision when things look awful. When we're confused or our faith is shaky, we bail on the very community that God put us in to keep us going.
We walk away from our source of strength because what we see right in front of us feels too big.
But the story doesn't end there. Even as they're running away, their pain is actually setting the stage for one of the most, wonderfully ironic moments in the Bible.
You're talking about Jesus' first question.
I am. He interrupts their pity party to ask, what things?
The sermon called it the funniest scripture. The resurrected Christ playing the dumb tourist, asking them to fill him in on what just happened to him.
It's so intentional. He lets them vent. He lets them get it all out.
Which is exactly how we approach God, isn't it? We feel like we have to educate him on how bad our problem
I
is.
really do. God, you just don't even know what I'm going through right now.
And in that venting, they finally get to the heart of it. They confess their real wound.
We had hoped that he was the Messiah.
Past tense. We had hoped. They're stuck.
They're stuck in their old expectations. A conquering king, not a crucified servant.
And what's crazy is they already had evidence that something was different.
They did. They had the reports from the women. The tomb was empty.
Angels said he was alive. They had all the facts of the resurrection.
But their pain was steering the ship. So they still chose to walk away.
I think the biggest takeaway there for me was that the divine encounter happens as they're leaving.
Right.
Even as you're walking away from God, his goodness is walking right towards you. God's not confined to a building.
And that pursuit, that intentional chase, leads to the really uncomfortable part, the rebuke.
Yeah, after listening to them go on, Jesus hits them with it. Luke 24:25.
You foolish people. You find it so hard to believe all the prophets wrote in the scriptures.
When we're hurting, we want comfort. So why is the first response from Jesus a challenge? A rebuke?
Because that's the pivot point. And the sermon gave such great context for that word, foolish. It's not about them being dumb or unintelligent.
Right, it's not an insult.
No. He quotes Psalm 14, where the fool says in his heart, there is no God. So biblically, foolishness is just unbelief.
So he's not attacking their IQ, he's attacking their refusal to believe the scriptures, the ones that said this had to happen.
Exactly. Which leads to, I think, the core principle of the whole message. If you write one thing down, this is it.
What you believe will guide you into what you can perceive.
That's it. They believed he was just a prophet who they hoped was the Messiah. So when the actual Messiah is walking next to them, all they can perceive is a stranger.
Their belief was a filter.
It was a filter that blinded them to reality. It's that cognitive bias. If you believe your friends forgot your birthday, you'll interpret every single thing they do as proof.
When really they're planning a huge surprise party, your belief dictates the evidence you're willing to see.
And to fix that faulty belief, Jesus immediately takes them to the source of truth.
The scriptures.
The scriptures. And what a teaching session that must have been. It says he took them through Moses and all the prophets, explaining everything about himself.
Pastor Roy joked, it was basically a 2.5-hour sermon delivered over a 7-mile walk.
I love that.
And that long, intentional study was so important. It wasn't just about facts. It was about correcting their perception so that when they talk about Jesus, they're talking about the same Jesus, the one who had to suffer and then rise again.
So the teaching ends, they get to Emmaus, and now we're at the moment of choice.
Right. Luke 24:28. Jesus acts as if he's going to keep walking.
He gives them an out. He gives them an out. He doesn't force himself on them. He respects their free will. He waits for them to make the move.
And they beg him, stay the night with us.
It's like that polite guest who gets up to leave, just waiting for you to say, no, stay a little longer. Jesus waited for their invitation.
And that's the whole point for us today, right there. You have to invite him into your home.
Yes.
Transformation doesn't start until you surrender the space.
And look how fast the change happens. The second they sit down to eat, Jesus takes the bread, he blesses it, breaks it, and gives it to them.
There's a total role reversal. The guest is now the host.
The guest takes ownership. He serves them.
That's the whole lesson in one action. When you invite him into your home, he takes control.
He dictates the terms. He breaks what needs to be broken. And he completely transforms that intimate space.
And it's only after that surrender, when the bread is broken, that their eyes are open. They finally recognize him.
And in that exact moment, he's gone. He vanishes. They didn't see him on the road while they were arguing and complaining. They only saw him after they gave him access to their most intimate space.
So for you listening, what does this all mean? The choice is pretty simple. Are you going to invite Jesus into the parts of your life, your home, where you haven't given him access yet, no matter how messy you think it is?
It just brings it all full circle. You have to choose to believe the scriptures. That choice transforms what you can perceive, and that allows you to see Jesus walking with you, even when you're on a painful road.
It's all about that belief being the first step.
It's the critical first step to seeing any real change in your life.
And the ultimate promise is that you'll see God's glory if you believe, which isn't some abstract thing. It's a visible transformation. It's broken addictions. It's restored marriages.
It's real change. And that change doesn't come from just knowing a lot of facts. It comes from letting the resurrected Jesus have full control.
So that brings us to the final thought.
Yeah, that story about them leaving their community,
Yeah.
it really forces you to look inward. What Jerusalem have you left?
Which friends, which support systems?
Which practices have you abandoned in your own season of pain? And what would it actually look like this week to turn around and start walking back? That's the real work.
That is the challenge. And if any of this resonated with you and you want to hear the full sermon, which we highly recommend,
Oh, for sure.
just head over to Zion CC's YouTube page. You can find it there.
Until the next deep dive, keep digging for that truth.